Hi there, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I don't know about you, but I'm such a dreamer. Sometimes get so carried away my head is in the clouds, just like the nude I painted, titled Head in the Clouds. I tried painting her as lifelike as possible, molding her face and body like a sculptor, except instead of using muddy fistfuls of clay, I delicately shaped her body by using a soft brush filled with multicolored acrylics, but mostly red. Oh yeah, lots of red. Ever since art school back in the day, I've always enjoyed working with models, especially nudes. Not because I was admittedly a dirty old man back then, but because a nude, to me, is timeless. And thinking back to those long ago art school days, I was a very young man then. And of course, those of the opposite sex filled my mind almost every second. So there I was with my fellow students this warm summer day, sketching a very beautiful young woman around my age. Even if she'd been wearing an overcoat that hung down to her shapely ankles, she would have still been very sexy. When noon arrived, most of the students, and sometimes myself, would leave for lunch or go down the street to the pub. I had brought my lunch this day, and while munching away on a sandwich, I was touching up the sketches that I had just drawn. I thought the model had left too, and was surprised when she came out of the dressing room, dressed in a low-cut white shirt that didn't even reach her knees. Didn't leave much to the imagination, I'll tell you, not close up. But what surprised me more was when she came over to where I was sitting and sat down on my drawing board. I was so intimidated by her closeness, I could have easily reached out and touched her, and my face turned as brilliant as the red as my nude painting with her red hair in the red clouds. As she thumbed through the sketches, she said, "These are really good. Can I have one?" I told her to help herself as we spent the lunch hour chatting. When I asked her why she liked to pose in the nude, she told me the pay was good and needed the money to go to university. I was just a skinny guy back then, nothing to look at, hardly a hunk, and she was drop-dead gorgeous, clothes or no clothes. But looking back to that afternoon, even now, I sometimes wonder if I should have taken a chance and asked her out. After all, artists and models sometimes have special attractions for one another, as I discovered later on in my life. Wink, wink. I considered clothing the nude in my painting, dressing her in a sexy, flimsy, lacy, see-through virginal white gown, or even something very plain and simple, but instead concentrated on her bright red tresses and the roiling red clouds. I wanted to emphasize her naked, animalistic, wild side, rather than her alluring coyness and perhaps precocious nature. However, saying that, I did consider turning her into a working girl of the evening in the red light district, wearing a very short skirt, low-cut blouse, with fishnet stockings and high heels. But then decided against it, because as soon as I plunked any clothing on her, she would immediately be dated and begin aging, and I wanted her to be ageless. Besides, painting clothing with all those wrinkles and folds is right up there with painting buildings, cars, and boats. All those straight lines, chrome, cement, and glass is a real pain in the butt. Give me a nude to paint any time. I don't care if she's as thin as a rail, voluptuous as a watermelon, overly plump like a blimp, young and smooth or old, and wrinkled like a chunk of hard granite. There's just something special and lively about painting a real live naked woman. To capture her essence, vulnerability, seductiveness, and inner strength with the use of a simple brush on a stretched canvas. Methinks all this talk about nudes is beginning to have an effect. Get me a little excited. As if. And I know what you're probably thinking, but no, my thoughts are not sexual. And as if I would tell you anyway. I'm not that foolish. I simply like the idea of painting another nude. I'm working on a couple of paintings on my bucket list at the moment. And when they are finished, perhaps my wife Sarah would pose for me in the nude. Most likely not, but I have painted and sketched her before, quite a few times. She never posed nude though, not even for the caricature I painted of her as a mermaid, which incidentally, she really likes. Anyway, I guess my head is stuck in the clouds. Time to get back to the painting. The depicted nude is a real Amazon of a woman, a walking giantess of extraordinary proportions. Imagine what it'd be like if she made it. The orgasmic reverberations and throes of passion would most likely cause the ground to shake, the mountains to rock, perhaps create a massive earthquake. And then again, maybe she just has a lot of red, unmanageable hair and should consider visiting a beauty salon for a haircut. To be honest, I've always preferred painting an unfettered nude, one that is content within the confines of her own skin. But I'm almost certain those days are over. Cheers, eh?